Ikenna was about climbing down from the palm tree when his eyes caught something unusual by the river bank. He paused, blinked, and looked again to be sure his eyes weren't deceiving him. "Wait, is this what I think it is?" he muttered under his breath. Curiosity gripped him. He climbed down swiftly, hid behind the bushes, and moved quietly so he wouldn't scare away whatever he had seen. When he got close enough, he froze. There, basking gently in the morning sun, was a mermaid. His heart pounded. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Should I alert the villagers? Should I try to catch it? Or should I just wait and watch what it does next? Before he could decide, the mermaid suddenly stiffened. She had sensed the presence of a mortal. In panic, she tried to slip back into the Iuba River. Ikenna stepped out quickly, hands raised. "Please don't go. I mean no harm." This was Ikenna, the man the people of Ikwolubia mocked as the poorest in the village. Orphaned as a child, abandoned by relatives, he had grown up relying solely on himself. He earned a living tapping palm wine, and the proceeds, though little, kept him alive. During the annual yam festival, the villagers looked down on him. Maidens avoided him, refusing to associate with a common palm wine tapper. But despite everything, Ikenna remained strong, humble, and hopeful. Now, face to face with a creature he never imagined existed, his life was about to change. The mermaid stopped moving when she heard the sincerity in his voice. She studied his face, his fear, his innocence. Slowly, she hesitated. Ikenna dropped his rope and tapping knife on the ground to show he meant no harm. He stepped out from the bushes fully, and for the first time, he saw her clearly. Her beauty almost knocked the breath out of him. Her skin glowed like polished stars, her face spotless and serene. Her eyes carried a depth he had never seen in any human being. Her long hair shimmered like flowing water. Gathering courage, he introduced himself. "My name is Ikenna, the village palm wine tapper." The mermaid stared at him silently, tilting her head as though trying to read his soul. After a moment, she spoke. "They call me Mirima, and you are the first man I have ever set my eyes on." Her voice was soft, gentle, curious. It almost sounded like she was admiring him, something no woman had ever done before. Ikenna sat down on a nearby rock, and the two of them began to talk. They shared stories of life on land and life beneath the river. Slowly, they became comfortable with each other. As the sun rose higher, Mermaid grew worried. "I must return," she said. "I am not permitted to stay too long in the land of humans." "Can I see you again?" he asked softly. "You're the kindest being I've ever spoken to." She smiled. "Soon, my friend." She slipped back into the river, disappearing beneath its calm waters. Ikenna walked home smiling like a man who had tasted a miracle. But on his way, he met Ubina, his only true friend. The two of them had bonded because they were both orphans, growing up without family or support. But Ikenna knew telling Ubina about the mermaid would be foolish, not until he understood more. When Ubina asked him why he was so happy, Ikenna simply said he expected a good harvest that day. Ubina believed him, but deep down he sensed Ikenna was hiding something. Days passed, weeks rolled into months. Ikenna returned to the river every morning, hoping to see her, but she never appeared. Until one morning, as he turned to leave in disappointment, a splash of water hit him from behind. He spun around, and there she was, Mermaid Ma, and she looked even more radiant than before. Their friendship deepened. They met more often, laughed together, shared stories. For Ikenna, She was the first female friend he had ever had. For Mermaid Ma, he was the first human she had ever known. But one morning, everything changed. Obinna had secretly followed Ikenna into the bush. He watched from the shadows as the two sat at the riverbank, chatting and laughing. When Obinna saw the mermaid, he almost screamed, but he held himself together and sneaked away quietly. He said nothing to Ikenna, but greed, like a disease, had already entered his heart. While Ikenna was humble and content, Obinna was selfish and hungry for wealth. And he suddenly realized the mermaid was his ticket out of poverty. Soon, he began plotting with some village hunters. Their plan was simple but wicked. Set a strong fishing net near the riverbank, allow the mermaid to come out, then surround her and chase her straight into the trap. After a week of planning, they executed the wicked scheme. Ikenna was waiting by the river as usual when Mermaid surfaced. In an instant, the hunters sprang from their hiding spot. Mermaid screamed, trying to flee, but the net closed around her. "No, leave her!" Ikenna cried, struggling with all his strength. But Obinna and one of the hunters held him down, pressing his face into the dirt. By the time they released him, both the mermaid and her captors were gone. At Okonta's hut, the hunters placed Mermaid inside a large drum filled with water to keep her alive. They celebrated, drinking palm wine and laughing. A buyer from Igboku had promised them a fortune. Meanwhile, Ikenna was restless. He felt he had failed her. Worse, he felt the sting of betrayal. Obinna, the friend he trusted, had done this to him. That night, he barely slept. A question tormented him. Where could they have taken her? He ran to Obinna's hut at dawn, but it was empty. Obinna planned to return only after selling the mermaid. "I will return to my house a wealthy man. Nobody will look down on me again," he had told himself. That night, exhausted, Ikenna fell asleep outside his hut under the moonlight. He had a strange dream. Men were chasing him. He ran into a hut, hiding beside a large clay container filled with water. A faint voice called his name. When he looked into the water, he saw Mermaid Ma, weak and pleading. He woke up a jolt, sweating and breathing hard. Was that just a dream? Or is she calling me? Unknown to him, Mermaid had the power to send visions through dreams, and she was telling him exactly where to find her. Before the cock crew, Ikenna grabbed his machete and entered the bush. Guided by the dream, he located a hut with a staff on its roof, the exact one he had seen. He peeked inside. Okunta and Agu were fast asleep. He sneaked in and found the water container. When he opened it, his heart sunk. Mermaid Ma was inside, pale, weak, barely breathing. He gently lifted her out, but the problem now was escape. Getting her back to Ioba River from here would be almost impossible. The journey was far, and the slightest noise could wake the hunters. He carried her on his shoulder and tiptoed out. Just as he entered the bush, Okunta woke up to find the drum empty. He screamed, waking Agu. They grabbed their weapons and ran into the bush after Ikenna. Mermaid Ma whispered weakly, "Take me to any river nearby." Ikenna remembered passing a small river earlier. He sprinted towards it, but when he looked back, Okunta and Agu were gaining on him with murderous fury. Summoning all his strength, he reached the riverbank and gently lowered Mermaid Ma into the water. She slipped beneath the surface and was gone. That was the last time he ever saw her. He returned home in sorrow. Market days passed. He wondered if she survived, if she remembered him, if she would ever return. Obinna eventually returned to the village, furious. He confronted Ikenna, accusing him of spoiling a life-changing opportunity. Ikena said nothing. Their friendship died that day. One night, Ikena had another dream. But this time, he saw not a mermaid, but a beautiful young woman smiling at him. She beckoned him to follow. She led him to a bushy area covered with palm fronds and told him to remove them. In that place, you will find what you seek. He woke up trembling. The dream felt too real to ignore. At dawn, he went into the bush, following the exact path from his vision. To his shock, he found the same palm frond covered hole. He knelt, removed the leaves, and gasped. Inside were diamonds and precious stones, glittering and priceless.
A one gift from a friend he thought he had lost. A reward for his kindness. A blessing that changed his destiny. With this wealth, Ikena became the richest man in Equilobia, eventually crowned king. He married the most beautiful maiden in the land and lived a life of honor. He thought he had lost Minima forever, but she had blessed him with riches beyond imagination. The end.